You said that you felt that I punished you.
Yes. And then I said that Vaughn didn't realize that I loved him for real, and I loved him, and I chose him.
You're putting words in my mouth.
No. I'm saying what I'm recapping.
Okay.
So now with that recap, what do you have to say?
Yeah, okay, first off, what you said was really jumbled. But what was said on the episode is that she felt like she was punished for grieving. And that was absolutely true. Yeah, I was angry. Because, and since we're having this conversation, and here's the thing, this wasn't my idea.
She asked me if we would talk about this tonight.
I did.
And anybody that knows me knows that I don't bite my tongue because I don't really care what people think of me. So I'm just going to say it. If you want my honest opinion,
yes,
I don't see a lot of difference between the way you grieved
for Tracy and Gabe. It looked the same to me. There was a little more heat behind Tracy, of course, because it's your sister. But it didn't, to me, and I have nothing to measure it against when Gabe died, so I didn't know anything, but I knew I didn't like it. Because to me,
the grief seemed
too strong for someone you'd had all those problems with. That's my opinion, because that's the way I look at the world. Now we had a number of conversations about it. We had a number of arguments about it. But it wasn't until Tracy passed and I had time to reflect, probably sitting, on a mountain somewhere by myself, and I'm like, you know what? Those two grieving didn't look all that different to me. And that made me angry. So to me, the grief looked like you still had real strong feelings for the dude. And which made me think, well, what am I doing here? And this is in the moment. We're talking in 2018. We were a year in when this happened. We were a little over a year in when it happened, but it just, I didn't like any parts of it. Now, you can't tell anybody how to grieve. Nope, I wasn't. I was just I wasn't trying to tell her you need to grieve this way. I was just saying, from my perspective, it just looked to be a bit much. And I felt that way then, and I feel that way now. But you have to do things the way you see.
But I still felt like when you knew that when Bio Dad was absent and he didn't have any children of his own, and he was the one who raised and cared for.
Are you saying this for them?
I'm saying this for you.
But you can't say it for me, because here's the thing. I had no problem with that guy. There was no jealousy. There was
nothing, because the moment you told me that he was sick, what did I do?
The moment
you found out that he was sick, you were like, I have these remedies. I need you to, yes, these doctors I can help him with. Yes, absolutely.
Got you on the phone with him and got him on the phone with him.
Absolutely.
So tell the whole story.
But I am. But you didn't give me. I was.
But you weren't.
But you took the time out to say what you needed to say. So it was
enough. Because your first thing should have been the moment that Vaughn found out, he went into help mode, because I'll help anybody. So there was no jealousy or anything. I never had any.
I didn't say that.
No, I didn't say that. No, you did. That did come up in an argument one time. There was no jealousy. There was nothing.
I had no ill feelings towards the dude. That came in my
witnessing or watching the grieving process. That's when it became a problem. So. You just gonna sit there?
Wait, what do you mean?
TV show host, and you're just letting
dead space. You're not saying anything.
No, it's not that I'm saying dead space. I'm allowing you to say how you feel, because when I did say something, it was.
But because you were wrong.
And I can't speak for you. I can't speak for you. But there are a lot of people who are going through this type of situation, and they're going through it.
Who's going through the situation?
Somebody, because we are not exempt. We go through the same stuff that everybody else goes through. But
this is but here's the thing. It was a unique situation because it wasn't a one-off. It wasn't a one-off. I've never met anybody who was best friends with their ex. That was a new circumstance. I didn't even know that paradigm existed in the world. I had to deal with my ex because we had 3 children together, and I had to talk to her almost every day. And as the kids got older, that weaned off, And so it wasn't just that. It wasn't just that you were mourning him. It was the fact that you had an ongoing relationship with him that I couldn't process because I've never seen it. Now, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it doesn't have a right to exist. So I'm smart enough to know that different people do things differently. I'm just saying in my lifetime, I'd never seen 2 people who were married, had a terrible divorce, and then became best friends. That was some new shit to me. That's all I said.
What?
And to this date, I still haven't seen it again.
Well, we made better friends.
You said that.
He literally raised.
He did. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he literally raised the children. And
he went to bat for those kids when
Yes.
nobody else would. He taught them how to be men when there was nobody else to do it. He was a good, solid human. My problem wasn't with that dude. It wasn't with him at all. Oh, you know what we're missing? We don't have the...
I apologize for the length of the video, man, but go ahead. It was my first time going all the way through with it with you guys, so I heard exactly what you heard in real time, if you haven't seen already. But a man saw his wife grieve the loss of her sister the same way she did for her late husband. If your significant other was to approach you with this information, how would you feel, ladies?
I'd probably ask him how we got together and where his humanity was. I mean, it's human nature. This is someone at some point she thought she was going to spend the rest of her life with. This could go vice versa. For me, if somebody lost somebody that they were married to, or even just had children with, they didn't have to be married. If you developing the right kind of bonds in your life, I don't find it abnormal. He kept saying, well, my problem wasn't with that dude. So say what your problem was. He wasn't even man enough to tell her what the real thing was. I was salty because you were sad that somebody you used to talk to died. And that's just the end of it. Like, just tell her that, and maybe she'll be like, oh, well, that was my friend. So I think you're making something out of nothing. And this dude is like dead, like in the ground dead. So I don't get it. I would definitely, if it was me, I would question his sanity.
All right, go ahead, Ali.
Yeah, because he kept saying, I didn't have a problem with the dude. I didn't have a problem with the dude, but then he contradicted himself by following it up with, I don't understand the relationship that 2 people who used to be married can then be best friends. That's a paradigm I've never heard of that just didn't exist to me. So he answered his own question. He just revealed that he's insecure about that type of relationship because he had never experienced it or seen one. So instead of unpacking that and being more forthcoming to his wife about that part of it, he answered his own question. And at the end of the day, to me, it's kind of just disgusting because what are you worried about? You married to her. That is your wife. She chose you. You are married to her. She explained why the past relationship didn't work out, and she has the right to grieve as she sees fit and have her husband support her through that. So to me, it was giving low emotional intelligence. And he had those walls up, and he just put his foot in his mouth with everything that he said. So, and then his body language, the rolling of the eyes, the leaning back, like not giving her there's dead space, you're a host. Like, there's power in silence, just like in design when you need white space on a piece of paper. It's okay that she didn't respond in the 2 seconds for her to think about what she wanted to say next. And I thought her response was like, well, I'm letting you get out what what you want to say about this. So the fact that he jumped on her like that was also gross. So I think he's got a lot of self actualization to get to and learnings. Because yeah, that's not cool.
Okay. What about you, Miss Taken?
I was going to say, I think it is a matter of one, I want to validate how he felt, right? Because I don't think, well, for me, in terms of empathy and things like, I've never been in that situation. So I don't know how I would feel if I saw a situation where somebody passed and I saw my husband like crying, like, like real hurt over this person that he used to deal with. So I don't know what it would be like to be in that situation. I don't know how I would respond, but on the outside looking in, it appears that he really is the one that has the issue and need to work on trying to rectify and identify where all of that is coming from, right? And why. And the truth of the matter is that in his mind, he probably felt like she loved him more than she loved me, or would she cry over me like that, or why is she crying over that dude like that when she was no longer with him? She shouldn't really have feelings like that. And I think it's complicated. Dealing with feelings is complicated, and if you're not emotionally adept or have emotional maturity, it makes it harder for you to deal with somebody else's emotions, right? He read into that just to say, well, you cried over him, the same way you cried over your sister. So those were things that he was dealing with, and that may not have even been the case, or it may have been a case. And sometimes the death of one can trigger a situation for somebody else. Like it could be trauma, so just meaning that you can kind of, dang, when my sister died, this is bringing back memories of that too, when she saw her husband pass as well. But at the end of the day, I just really think that that's something that he needs to work on, and she can only support him in doing that, but he has to be real about why he's really upset. And even if let's say he feels like I felt like I was second choice or he was more important, the truth of the matter is that you're never going to love a person the same way, right? New people you love differently. So there may always be a space in her heart for her first husband, but that does not mean I can't love you with the same depth as my new husband, right? All of us are impacted. Like I think about my first love, which was in 9th grade. The love that I have for him is totally different than the love that I have for my husband. Two totally different things. But the experience to me when I was 14 is just as deep for me as it was when I met my husband. So he has to sort out his feelings with that.
All right. Shane, you there?
Shan over there doing taxes, man.
Low key, my text is sitting next to me.
Sorry, I had to
Shan
change
over there
the camera.
waiting.
My internet was acting a fool on my school laptop, so I had to come to the iPad. Sorry. Y'all was going in and out. Like, this can't be good. Are you asking me to talk now? Is that why you?
Yes.
So what's so funny? I met a guy like this, right? And I know it sounds horrible, but I went on a couple of dates with this guy, right? Who happens to be a good friend of mine from my past. But he lost his wife, and I'm talking about years ago. We're talking about 7+ years ago. and he relives it. Or he talks about her all the time. He posts. He's in a relationship with somebody else, and he posts about his wife all the time. He'll give like these. It's I don't know their situation, but if it's anything like that situation, I can see where, to me, it was just like, I respect the situation. I just rather not be, because it was like almost like you're living a grievance all the time. Like he just lived in it. Some people don't just let things, and it can bring your energy down too. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? So I don't know if her situation was as deep as his situation. It's almost like I lost the love of my life and nobody else can compare to that person. So if you walk in his life, you just know that you're not going to be able to, you guys can share experiences with each other, but you're never compared to the love of his life, which is up to you to whether or not you want to be in that situation. But I do agree with Cookie. If it's a point where you don't have, so for me, I allow him to do that. He's human. He was in love with somebody. He lost somebody. So obviously I'm going to be there for him. Hey, we can be good friends. I feel for you, right? I just don't want to be like I know I'll never have you the way she has you, and you keep doing it like if it keeps getting thrown in your face over and over again. Does that make sense? So his situation may have been a little bit different. Again, I don't know her situation, but yeah, that really happened.
Go ahead, Jay.
Y'all can hear me? All right. I think, man, it's crazy, yo, how many suckers are created, man. Like, they present themselves a certain way, but it's just like, what I think he was trying to imply was he was trying to pry to see if it was more than just friendship. He kept reiterating, I just never seen friends like this, and they've been together. And what he really wanted to say was, yo, y'all had to be fucking if you feeling this deep about it, which I don't believe that's the case. I believe it was a genuine friendship after, they were together as husband and wife. I truly believe that's what the case was. And the fact that he took care of her kids to that extent, there's probably another level of love, because then now he's not just gone for her as a friend or ex-husband. He's gone as a father figure to her kids. That's how I'm understanding it based on the information that we watched. You know what I mean? So that's multiple layers. You know what I'm saying? Her kids don't have anybody else to call when they need something or if they need help with anything. You know what I mean? And parental guidance. So that's layered. With him, I felt like he came into a situation where this existed. You know what I mean? This was all laid out. This is my ex-husband that I'm still good friends with. These are my kids that may or may not be with him, or a few of them are his and a few of them aren't, whatever the case is. This is the situation. Are you going to deal with this, or are you trying to deal with this? And he chose to deal with it. And my thing is, within that, you have to be, if it's new to you, there's a lot that you have to deal with that you may have not dealt with before. And I mean, I think he's jealous of it. He feels like that's something that he's not a part of. He has all these emotions toward it, but he doesn't know how to assist. And I mean, I feel like in that situation, if you chose to deal with it, if it's too much for you, get out of it. If this is your wife and you love her, empathize, dog. You know what I'm saying? Imagine you experiencing grief. Cause I mean, that's some real sucker shit. Somebody's experiencing grief and you sitting here like, damn, you still crying about this dead ass nigga? Like, fuck. Like, that's sucker shit. You know what I mean? Like, if you love her, be there for her. Figure out how she needs you and be that person. Or get the hell out of there. Be even bigger, sucker nigga, and get gone and not deal with it. Find somebody else. You know what I mean? But you have to choose a side. Yo. You can't sit here, because what it looks like is essentially like he's punishing her for grieving, for a natural thing that we all go through that we have no control over. Like, I've dated great women. That relationship was done, And, you know, I grieved for a little while. That was a great relationship. I've dated bums and have grieved them for years. Like, I'm like, yo, I cannot shake this bum off me. Like, I'm destroyed. Why am I so destroyed over this bum versus this great woman I had and I'm fine that it ended? Or the grieving process was much faster. It's confusing. So you have no control over who you're going to grieve, how you're going to grieve, how long you're going to grieve. He should just, if he really cares for her, be there for her. This is a time where you have to kind of communicate how you feel, but don't punish her for feeling some shit she has no control over. That's it.
All right. Go ahead, Sweeney.
I don't have much more to add. Jay pretty much said it all. The only thing I'm still confused on the timeline of all of this, like, did she grieve a long time ago and then her sister passed and then he noticed that the grief was the same, or is she still grieving for that ex-husband years later and then her sister died and he recognized that the grief was the same? I'm just kind of lost on the timeline and everything, and they weren't really clear on that.
Unfortunately, I don't have that information, brother Sweeney.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to even address this because I don't know there's so much context missing. Like, and I get his feelings on it, but without the context of the time, and I really can't validate or really make a strong opinion about it.
Well, he did say something about 2018 when they got together. So that can be the timeline of when at least he got with her. Now, can't necessarily say the husband apparently died after him and her got together, because he was saying how he, helped with the doctors and stuff like that. So at least by 2018 till now.
So, well, I guess in that sense, he kind of really, to what Ali said, he kind of answered his own question. If they were close, if this was her ex-husband, whom they were close the entire time you were with her, to the point where you were also invested in his well-being because you were helping her out and all of that, is it wild to be confused that she would grieve him?
I thought it was distasteful that then he used that as a weapon against her. Well, you see what I did when he got sick. I called the doctor. So then was he being genuine in those moments when he initially made those phone calls for those doctors? Since now that sent, in my opinion, the message to her, to your point, Sweeney, that it was okay for her to grieve that relationship. And if he wasn't about it, he should have never did none of that from the beginning. That's the part that I think is the biggest key, is that and then he leaned back and like puffed his chest at that. Like,
so I have a question. Would you guys be in that type of relationship?
I don't understand the type of relationship.
I think what she's saying is, would you be in a relationship where there's an ex and, may or may not be kids involved and they're still friends? And is that what you're saying, Shane?
Oh.
Yeah. I wouldn't care.
I would be okay, but again, it all depends on how the partner handles it. I would rather y'all especially if you have kids, I would rather y'all get along and have a good relationship for the kids' sake. So I wouldn't stand in the way or feel any kind of way about that, because I know y'all have kids. But it's in the way that the person who I'm with now handles it. I need to know that there's a boundary as well. Like, I'm okay with y'all getting along, but it's not going to be call me at 2:00 in the morning because you just want to talk, or call me at 2:00 in the morning to go do X, Y, and Z. If it has nothing to do with the kids, why are you calling? Right? That kind of stuff. So if the other person just established boundaries, no problem at all.